She boarded the plane with pride and power, a CEO who had everything. He boarded it with pain, a single father holding his child's photo close. But by the time they landed, both their lives would never be the same again. The morning sky was painted soft blue when the flight to London began boarding. Among the first to step in was Clara Bennett, a 29-year-old blonde CEO of one of the fastest-growing fashion companies in New York. She was confident, polished, and known for her perfection. Her assistants handled everything, from her luggage to her coffee order. But what no one knew was that Clara's life, behind her glass office walls, was deeply lonely. She had fame, power, money, but not peace. She found her seat in business class by the window. She took out her tablet and began checking emails. Moments later, a man arrived, a bit tired, dressed modestly in a plain gray shirt and worn jeans. His name was David Miller, a 34-year-old single father. He smiled politely, holding his small backpack close. His seat was right beside Clara's. He seemed nervous, like someone not used to luxury cabins. Clara barely looked up, just nodded slightly. When the plane took off, she leaned against the window, resting. David quietly sat beside her, looking at a little photo in his wallet, a picture of his 5-year-old daughter, Lily. He whispered softly, "Daddy will be back soon, sweetheart." A flight attendant came by offering water. Clara refused. David took one, saying, "Thank you," with a tired smile. After half an hour, turbulence shook the plane. Clara sighed, annoyed, closing her laptop. She had been working nonstop for 3 days, and for the first time in weeks, she felt exhaustion taking over. As the lights dimmed slightly for passengers to rest, Clara drifted off to sleep. Without realizing, her head gently leaned onto David's shoulder. He froze for a moment, unsure what to do. He looked down at her, peaceful, exhausted. There was no arrogance in her now, only humanity. He smiled faintly, adjusting his position so she could rest more comfortably. Minutes turned into hours. When the flight attendants passed again, one of them whispered, "Sir, do you want me to wake her?" David shook his head quietly. "She must be tired," he said softly. He took out a small notebook from his bag, not for business, but for writing letters to his daughter. He wrote, "Lily, I met a lady today who reminds me that everyone needs rest, even the ones who look strongest." 2 hours later, Clara woke up slowly. When she realized she had fallen asleep on a stranger's shoulder, she gasped. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry!" David smiled kindly. "It's okay. You were tired." She looked at him, really looked this time. His shirt was simple, his hands rough from labor. There was a softness in his eyes that she hadn't seen in years. "You're not traveling for work, are you?" she asked. He shook his head. "No. I'm going home. My daughter's in the hospital. She had surgery last week." Clara's confident smile vanished. "I'm sorry to hear that," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "She's strong. Stronger than me, actually." For the first time in years, Clara didn't know what to say. The man beside her had nothing, yet he had love, warmth, hope. The plane was halfway across the Atlantic when turbulence returned. People panicked. Clara grabbed the armrest, terrified. David calmly reached out, steadying her hand. "It's okay," he said gently. "We're safe." His voice was steady, protective, the same voice he used with his daughter. When the plane stabilized, Clara exhaled deeply. "You really are calm," she said. He smiled. "When life hits hard, you learn not to shake so easily." The flight continued. They talked softly. Clara learned that David used to be an engineer but lost his job after his wife died. He now worked part-time at a garage, saving every dollar for his daughter's treatment. She felt tears fill her eyes. She had spent millions on handbags, while this man couldn't afford his child's medicine. By the time the plane began descending, Clara's world had changed. She opened her tablet, wrote a note, and turned it toward David. It read, "I own a foundation. Send me your daughter's medical details. Let me help." He looked at her, speechless. "You don't have to." She smiled gently. "I want to." When they landed, she offered him her hand. "Maybe sleeping on your shoulder wasn't an accident," she said softly. David smiled through tears. "Maybe it wasn't." Months later, a photo appeared online. A young girl, smiling in a hospital garden, holding her father's hand. Behind them stood Clara, no makeup, no boardroom, just warmth in her eyes. The caption read, "Some flights change destinations, others change lives."